Welcome in, everyone, to episode 46 of the Memes, Dreams, 32 Teams podcast. We are back with another week of football behind us. I'm Justin.
I'm Eddie.
And
we had a good week, actually. Better than I was expecting it to be, kind of week.
I agree, but I also want to point out that we're already 4 weeks through football.
Yes, but we have an extra week this year.
True.
We have an extra week.
That's a good point. But yeah, there was some surprisingly good games this week. We knew we had some. We knew we had some great games, but there were definitely some games that I was like, not worried about.
There were more of those kind of games, kind of games, than there were good games initially, is what I thought.
Yeah,
and it did not end up that way.
Not at all. I would say not
awesome.
even close.
Yeah. Just about every game. Just about every game was actually
except for
a good game to watch.
One.
But
we'll talk about all the games like we do every week. Just a little bit of news. The only thing that I have seen, David Montgomery for the Bears is out 4 to 5 weeks. The Dolphins did trade wide receiver Jakeem Grant to the Bears, though, for a 2023 6th-round pick. So they basically just got a player. They didn't give up anything. Let's be honest.
Nice.
Grant was voted second team All-Pro last season, so he's not a terrible wide receiver. I don't know if it helps their problems because they can't figure out their quarterback situation, but
yeah, it kind of needs to start somewhere.
Yeah. So, but other than that, Josh Gordon has been promoted to the 53-man roster, so we'll see him on Sunday. Do they play on Sunday? Okay, so we'll see him on Sunday. Urban Meyer and his fiasco at the bar. The only thing I want to touch on with the Urban Meyer thing is, I'm just going to ask you a simple question. Do you think Urban Meyer finishes the season as the head coach? Either by the Jags firing him or he himself leaving? Do you think he stays?
Between whatever off-field issues he has, whether it's just this or there's more to it, whatever, or his performance as head coach, I'd be surprised if he makes it through the rest of the season.
If I had to bet, I would be betting on him not finishing the season.
Yeah, because they're 0-4 now.
Mm-hmm. They had their closest game this week. Yeah, and we can just jump straight into that. Jacksonville had the lead going into halftime.
Yeah.
They were up 14-0. Then end of the third quarter, it was 14-14. Took an early fourth quarter lead, make it 21-14, and then lost on a last-second field goal.
They had it. They had it.
They had it, but
what more can you do if you're the Jaguars other than not shit the bed, I guess? Because they were up 14-0 at halftime. Like, you can't give up that much in the second half and just lose and expect to be somewhere good. But they're just in a bad spot. I was gonna try to. They're just bad.
I mean, I'll add a positive note. Trevor Lawrence didn't throw a pick this game.
That may be some of their success.
He didn't throw a touchdown, but
that may be some of the success they ended up having.
I mean, in the other games, we'll start with week 1. 3 interceptions, 2 interceptions, 2 interceptions, then 0. So it's as you can tell, when he doesn't throw interceptions, they have a better chance of winning.
Better chance.
We've talked about this before with players. You know, if they don't throw interceptions, that team has a better chance of winning. That's crazy.
Crazy how it works.
The only bright side that I would say for this Jacksonville team is their running back James Robinson.
Yeah.
At the end of last season, some fantasy owners knew that James Robinson won you your playoffs, but to me he's the only bright star on this team.
Yeah. Fortunately, there's not much going on with the Jaguars that's trending in the right direction. He might be the only bright spot of this team. Both sides of this team, I hate to say, but they've got a lot of issues, and it's not issues that you can fix overnight. Like, they need a complete overhaul at this point.
Yeah, pretty bad one.
And I'll ask you this, kind of going off of what we were doing, talking about last week. Do you press the panic button have you already pressed it? Is it too early still?
Well, you knew that I didn't like Trevor Lawrence, so I pressed the panic button when they drafted him.
Fair enough.
And then they brought in Urban Meyer, a brand new NFL coach. Like the whole situation just didn't make sense to me. It would have made sense to have like Urban Meyer with like if you could get him an experienced guy at quarterback.
Andy Dalton, or never let Nick Foles leave, or
Something.
I mean, even the stash. Why do I keep blanking on his name
Gardner
every time we
Minshew.
try to? Thank you. Every time we try to bring him up, I always blank on his name. Even he would have been a better starting point at least.
Yeah, it's just you have a guy who doesn't know how to make it work in the NFL just yet. Not that he's a bad coach, just he's never done it. And then you have a quarterback who's never been in the NFL. It's a recipe for disaster. So, and then a defense that's non-existent. They just need a lot of help. They have James Robinson, awesome. I bet you he gets traded at some point.
For his sake, probably for the best.
On the other side of the ball, though, Joe Burrow has been looking pretty good this season.
Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon.
To be honest, this Bengals team, yeah, they're 3-1, so like it makes sense. But this is a Bengals team that I did not expect to be playing as well as they are. I'll put it that way. I'll be blunt.
I had high hopes for them, maybe going above 500 this year, but not starting out 3-1, 2-2.
They technically could have been 4-0. They lost by 3 to Chicago.
Yes.
So,
and coming into this season, like I said, I didn't expect them to be that much over 500. Like at most 9 wins at best. I didn't expect them to be 3-1 at this point. 2-2 at best, and I know that's not a big difference between 2-2 and 3-1, but there kind of is.
What are the chances? Well, we'll wrap this game up and move on to the next one. Right now, the Bengals, Ravens, and Browns are all tied at 3-1. The Steelers are 1-3. I don't give the Steelers a chance at winning this division, right?
No.
What percentage odds do you give the Bengals on winning the division?
I'd still put them at 3rd in this division.
Understandable.
So 15%.
Do you think is that 15%? Do you think that's higher? Is that a higher percentage than it was at the beginning of the season for you? Or did you give them a 15% or a higher chance before the season started?
That's
I
definitely higher chance now than it was preseason.
I was gonna say I would have given them maybe a 5% chance before the season started, maybe
to win the division. Yeah. I still had them. I'm pretty sure I'd still had them at 3rd behind Baltimore and Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But the gap between Baltimore and Cincinnati has shrunk significantly for me. I still think Baltimore has a better chance and Cleveland has the best chance. But then again, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll get to the Ravens here in a minute. But
yeah, we'll see. But then we start Sunday. Washington went into Atlanta, and Eddie. I'm gonna let you.
I'm not gonna rant.
You're not going to?
Do you want me to?
It depends on how long the rant's gonna be. I will say as a football fan, Washington made a great comeback. Then Atlanta was driving, and there should have been a delay of game call against Washington, which would have stopped the clock and pushed the Atlanta 5 yards forward. Not saying that Atlanta would have won the game still, but the extra 10 seconds
12,
plus.
Yeah, we would have had 12 seconds plus 5 yards closer. And I think we were right at midfield for that.
So I think you guys were at the 40, I think is where you guys ended up. So 12 seconds, 40 yards, still really difficult.
And as much as I want to harp on that one thing, that one delay of game that should have been but wasn't, we had, I think, 2 dropped interceptions. We had about 7 drop passes. We had 0 secondary help. We had 0 midfield help on defense. Offensive line couldn't block a peewee team. Like, the only highlight on this team, Matt Ryan is still doing as much as he can and still doing really good at it. And then Cordell Patterson, who I still don't know where he came from, but God, I'm glad he's here, and he needs a 25-year contract right now.
See, you say that, but he's never like so far he's been doing it this season.
He's had, they bring it up every time he scores a touchdown, which he's done 4 or 5 times this year now. He's had 1 touchdown. He's had 1 touchdown in the last 2 years.
See, that's the
and
thing. He's at 5 this season. Sorry.
Okay. So he don't know where he came from. He had 3 on Sunday, which wow. Um, he is our fail-safe, basically, who I thought was going to be Kyle Pitts.
How is Kyle Pitts looking?
He's getting acclimated slowly to the NFL.
But not living up. Because to me, I haven't watched a lot of the Falcons games, but his stats don't look like
he is underperforming for what I thought he would be at, and I think most people thought he'd be at. He is definitely underperforming. I imagine at this point he would have a couple touchdowns, maybe 200 or 300 yards on the season, probably minimum 5 receptions a game at this point. And if I had to guess, he's not close to any of those.
He's averaging just under 4 receptions a game. He is averaging 6.5 targets a game. He's averaging just about 45-ish yards a game. But his average catch is 12.6. They just got to figure out a way to work him in.
And that's a lot of it too, is he's on the field for probably 80% of the offensive plays. So it's not like he's not there. And I don't know if it's a he's not performing thing, or a Matt Ryan doesn't trust him thing, or the play doesn't have anything to do with him kind of thing. I don't know what it is, but he needs to get worked in more, because Calvin Ridley had 7 receptions, 13 targets. He had probably 3 drops. Pretty sure Kyle Pitts had a drop. Everybody had a drop in this game, I feel like. Zacchaeus, I think that's how you say it, Zacchaeus. He touched the ball 3 times. I know it says he has 3 targets and 1 catch. He touched the ball 3 times. And the 2 times that he dropped it, he was wide open. One of them was going to be like an 85-yard touchdown.
I just feel like you guys just need a lot of help.
But we don't, though. If Matt Ryan can have an extra second and see these receivers can figure out what gloves actually fit their hands, we might be 3-1.
I would say on the defensive side.
On the defensive side,
apologies for not clarifying. So much help. I think the defense is where you need help. The offense, like we talked about before the season, Atlanta should be scoring points. You guys scored 30 this game. That's exactly what we expect. Giving up 34, unfortunately, that's also what we expect.
Yeah.
So it's just Matt Ryan's doing Matt Ryan things. 25 for 42, 283, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan's still there. On the other side,
Washington performed. Washington did so much right in this game.
Taylor Heineken. This man's Heinz ketchup. This man. This is his team. I don't care.
It's his team at this point.
I don't care how good Fitzpatrick has been in his career and how bad he's also been in his career. Taylor should play regardless if Fitzpatrick is healthy.
Until he has a string of bad games.
I would agree.
It is it's his team.
Washington looks good. Just needs to I think they just need to shore up the defense. So
if they tighten up the defense a little bit, we only get 17 points.
Yeah. So Washington is starting to slowly get it together, I would say. Atlanta offensively getting it together, defensively
Swiss cheese.
Perfect. I don't really want to talk about the next game too much. Buffalo showed up, scored 40 points, left. Houston showed up, said, "Here's our game check," and left. That's pretty much it.
The Bills are doing Bills things.
The Bills have, after the week 1 blunder, have basically said, apologies. This is what we're supposed to look like.
Sorry, we were.
They have a 90+ point differential. They've shut out 2 people.
They've shut in the last 2 games. Well, we can just go ahead and talk about the season. We're only 4 games in. The last 3 games, they've had 2 shutouts.
Yeah. So, Bills look good.
Granted, that was Dolphins and Texans. They gave up 21 to Washington, but they also put up, in those 3 games, 35, 43, 40. So, I think the Bills are all right.
The Bills are tied for second in scoring on offense. They're tied with the Chiefs for second, while the Cardinals are in first. So the Bills look good. The Texans, unfortunately, I wish Tyrod Taylor was still healthy, because
they'd have a chance.
As soon as Tyrod Taylor showed up week 1, I was like, oh, this team, I thought we were down on them. I'm excited. And then he gets injured, and this is exactly what we expected.
And it went away. Yeah.
So that's the Texans and the Bills. I don't want to talk too much about it. Chicago welcomed in Detroit, and they won 24-14. My biggest takeaway from this game is I know we're high on him, but Justin Fields does not look good.
He does not look ready. And I know we both have said multiple times he looks like the most NFL-ready quarterback coming into this draft.
He's played in all 4 games and hasn't thrown a touchdown.
At least he had more than 1 total yard this game.
Okay, fair. But
I mean, take away that interception, and I'd be okay with that stat line. 11 for 17, 209, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I'd be okay with that.
That's what Trevor Lawrence did.
I'm okay with that then as a rookie quarterback. It's just the Bears are in a situation where they could be doing so much better on this season.
I would be okay with it if he's thrown a touchdown before.
Also fair.
When he has 52 pass attempts through 4 games, the first game he threw twice, right? They were certain packages, so whatever. Yeah. But 52 attempts, we'll say 50 through 3 games. We'll do that. I'll be a little bit
generous.
Generous to him. 50 attempts through 3 games, and he's thrown 0 touchdowns.
You can tell me one of those hasn't found the end zone, and you had a 125-yard receiver in this game.
And he has no rushing touchdowns. This man has not seen the end zone since game 1. The fact that they are 2-2
is a miracle.
Mind-boggling.
Is David Montgomery,
who unfortunately is injured for 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, so
they're fortunate to have Damian Williams, who, when he was on Kansas City, was a monster. Unfortunately, they did. I don't know if he got injured, or they didn't trust them, and they brought in other people. But I don't think their run game will skip a beat.
No, but this is Justin Fields' chance to step up and actually start doing something. If he can come in and use his feet a little bit more, finally throw a touchdown, this team is going to get its feet under itself and start figuring it out.
It's weird to me because I feel like in the NFL, with how the league has gotten, a lot of teams, both of us will say, oh, they have a pass game, but they have no run game.
This is a team that should have both.
This is the complete opposite situation. This is the team that has a run game, but can't pass the ball.
But they should be able to.
In a passing league. What? The Bears, they have 2 positives. They have a run game, and they're 2-2.
Not going to mention their defense.
Their defense has been playing well, but
they haven't been doing great, but they've been doing good.
The thing is I feel like the defense should be playing better. They give up 34 to the Rams. I get it. 26 to the Browns. I get it. But
it seems like
2-2 is the perfect record for how this team is playing.
Yeah, they lost to the good teams. They beat the bad teams. It's still surprising that I say that the Bengals aren't a bad team, but they're not a top 5, top 10 team in the league for me. They're not a top 10 yet. Wait for it.
At
the time that they played in week 2, they were not a top 5 team.
Oh, I'm not saying it'll happen this season. Just wait.
Okay. Give it about 25 more.
Next year, it's their year.
Oh, you switching teams?
No. The thing is, they said that Andy Dalton is the starter when he's healthy.
And I can't blame them right now for that.
With how Fields is playing, I get it. I guarantee you that if Fields if he had thrown, let's say, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Oh, they wouldn't be thinking about Andy Dalton.
That statement would have never been spoken.
No.
So,
they could be with that kind of stat line, they might be 3-1. Well, maybe not.
Probably not.
But looking forward, it would still look like they would have a lot more trust.
It'd be a closer 2-2.
Yeah.
So the Lions, yeah. I don't want to talk much about them.
I don't know what there is to say about them.
They have not put up a full game of football yet.
Nope.
Against the Bears, didn't have a first half. Against Baltimore, didn't have a first half. Against the Packers, didn't have a second half. Oh, wait. Sorry. Against the 49ers, they had 3 quarters of football. I apologize, Lions fans.
And they lost by 8.
Correct.
Just imagine they actually put together 4 quarters. They
So
might be able to do something.
The Lions just need a lot of help. Jared Goff looked okay in this game. I'm not going to say he looked great. He looked good. Two touchdowns, 24 completions, 299.
He's still on the waivers in most of my fantasy.
I agree.
So
I
don't know.
The only people that I would recommend for fantasy on the Lions would be DeAndre Swift or Jamal Williams. I think those are the only 2 relevant fantasy players for this team.
Yes.
Unless Jared Goff can get it together, then TJ Hawkinson and none of their wide receivers. Don't pick any of the wide receivers. Just don't pick any of them. So,
Detroit bad, Chicago
okay.
average.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Carolina went into Dallas and lost their undefeated streak.
Yeah.
Carolina's now 3-1.
I'll say my piece on this and let you talk about the Cowboys for a little bit. This game did not go how I expected at all.
Explain.
I expected the Cowboys to blow the Panthers out. Maybe not blow them out, but not be a 1-possession game.
Did you watch?
A good bit of that may be garbage time. The last one definitely was garbage time. But it just didn't feel like a dominant performance to me. Outside of Zeke, it did not feel like a dominant performance to me. Sam Darnold had his way a little bit, and then he also was Adam Gase Sam Darnold.
I think the Cowboys, like, watching the Cowboys play in this game, it wasn't like dominant, but it was dominant because they didn't really have to do much in a sense. Like, Dak threw the ball 22 times.
Yeah, I mean, that says a lot right there.
We had 12 more carries than passes in this game, and he still threw 4 touchdowns. Like, that, to me, that's dominant, right? Like, yeah, 36-28, the scoreline doesn't show it, but the stat lines across the board is ridiculous. And then the one thing that's, I know some people are talking about it in the NFL world, but the one thing that people are not talking about enough with this team is Trayvon Diggs has 5 interceptions through 4 games. He's
leading.
Yeah, he has a pick in every game. At least 1. He got 2 in this game. And then he had, I think it was either a back spasm or back pain, and it took him out for the rest of the game. But that was after his second pick. So he did his work and said, man, I'm carrying this team. I'm going to go.
I think I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah. Carolina's going to be like, I think if they have McCaffrey, maybe Carolina has a chance of winning it.
Yeah.
But we stopped Chuba Hubbard, so Sam Darnold's had to keep throwing it, and then he's just going to force.
It makes mistakes.
Yeah. So Carolina still looks good, to be frank about it. The stats on the Cowboys look really good, but Carolina looks, I would say, really good. They have a good chance at being a wild card team. I don't think they can beat.
Being a wild card team.
I don't think they can beat Tampa Bay.
No.
But
I don't think they can beat Tampa Bay. No. But they have a solid chance at that wild card spot.
Yeah. In breaking news, which has not happened on any of our episodes because it's literally just happened, the Cowboys have just released Jalen Smith. So, yeah, that's what happens when you have a rookie like Micah Parsons who comes in and looks ridiculous. And then you have a veteran like Keanu Neal who goes back to his college position and looks great. So it sucks to lose Jalen Smith, but he was our 4th linebacker on the depth chart, probably falling to 5th. So
I'm glad that Dan Quinn is figuring it out for y'all.
Yeah, me too. So both teams, even though Carolina lost, I think both teams look good. Both teams, I think, are both playoff teams.
Yeah, this was not a one team barely eked it out over the other. The Cowboys did have a winning game, and Carolina just couldn't keep up.
I could see this being a 3v6 or a 4v5 wild card weekend match.
Yes.
So it'll be exciting on that one.
How many interceptions did you say Moerig has?
Not Moerig.
No, sorry.
Trayvon Diggs?
Not Moerig.
He has 5.
Thank you. So going back to the year 2000, nobody has had more than 11 interceptions in a season.
I'm just saying, if he keeps it going.
He's going to have 18, almost 20 probably.
I'm cool with that. If you just want to keep doing that, I'm not against it.
Yeah. So he is on pace. We always talk about he's on track for this, on track for that. Dak was on track for 6,800 yards after the first week. But even if he slows down his production and just gets one every 2 games, he's going to end up with 13.
Yeah. He has a good shot at breaking the record. I'm assuming one of these games, probably this week, because it's really hard to have this trend. I'm assuming that he will not get a pick. Right? Like
It's bound to happen eventually. They're just not going to throw it to his side at some point.
Right? That would make sense, right?
It would.
We'll see. We'll see.
Most interceptions in a season is 14. There's no way this is actually his name. Night Train Lane.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that was in like the early 1900s. Yeah, something ridiculous.
More recently, 13. Lester Haynes in 1980 for Oakland.
Who knows? We'll see.
So
next game, Indy went into Miami and pulled it out. I don't really.
This was one of those. This is one of those weird ones because it's a better game than I was expecting, but it wasn't really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mostly only watched this one through Red Zone, and so just the little bits that I did see, which Red Zone mostly shows only the more exciting parts of games. None of it was.
You know what this game reminds me of when games like this happen? This reminds me of think of a boxing match. Say it's a 12-round boxing match. I want you to forget the first 10 rounds. You enter the fight at round 11, and both sides are just like, "Ugh, I don't want to be here anymore," and they're just
pretty much.
Kinda, yeah. And then the ref is like, "You win." Everyone's like,
"Yeah,
at least it's over." Like,
as we say, people aren't cheering that the Colts won. They're cheering this game ended. It just wasn't impressive. Nothing about this game was yay football.
Carson Wentz threw 2 touchdowns and didn't get injured.
That is a huge plus. No interceptions for either quarterback. Huge plus.
Yeah, we have Wentz and we have Brisket. They're 4 touchdowns, no interceptions today combined. So
I'll give them that. That is impressive. But this game feels like, all right, this is the game plan. This is what we're going to do. And that's what happened. They both just ran their game plan. They didn't have to do anything flashy. They didn't have to do anything amazing. They just, okay, we're going to go for a 7-yard check down here. Boom, hit it. We're going to do a 4-yard run here. Boom, hit it.
I wouldn't even
that was the whole game.
I mean, Miami had 16 carries for 35 yards. They had no run game. I don't know. There's not much to say about this game. For the Colts' sake, they got to win because they definitely did not need to start 0-4.
Needed it.
So they got to win. Carson Wentz made it to the game. Positives. Miami, you need Tua back. That's pretty much it.
Tua, unfortunately, is that team. And it's so weird looking at the Colts season so far. Seahawks, they lost by 2 possessions, yeah. They almost beat the Rams. They had the Titans until about mid-4th quarter. Mm-hmm. And then they beat the Dolphins without Tua. So it's like this team wants to be good. They're just not.
Yeah, and then they play a Monday night game
in
Baltimore. Yeah.
So
not high on the Colts, unfortunately. Wentz just needs to string a couple solid games together for me to be on board.
Yeah.
And stay healthy. Cleveland went into Minnesota and won 14-7.
this is the opposite of what we just said in the last game. This game was fun to watch all the way through, for me at least. It was very fun to watch all the way through, but nothing really happened.
Except Kirk Cousins threw an interception.
And he had just over 50% completion rating.
Yeah. This game just, outside of Cleveland rushing, everything else just looked horrible.
Yeah. Baker
On the
Mayfield-
offensive side of the ball. The defenses,
Yeah.
I mean,
this was a defensive heavy game.
if it's 14-7, the defenses look great.
Yeah.
So Nick Chubb looks like Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt looks like the best backup running back in the league. But who would?
It's what we knew last year. It's what we knew the year before.
Baker and Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk threw a touchdown, but they both looked horrible in this game.
Combined 25.6 QBR. So take that as you will. It just wasn't. It was a defense game on both sides. But if you would have told me coming into this that they were going to score a combined 21 points with the seasons that they've both been trending with so far,
I would have said it would have been like 11-10. Because that's much closer than 14-7.
It would have been if I knew it was going to be 21. Yeah, I wouldn't have put it at a touchdown. The under/over was 52,
which makes sense.
Which was way more likely.
So it's a good sign that both defenses look good. Just a bad sign that both offenses looked
did not
bad. So
I don't know. If you're gonna,
I think Minnesota being 1-3 is unfair. I'll be honest.
Yes.
I think them being 1-3 is unfair to how Kirk Cousins been playing. Yeah, I know. I rag on him a lot, but this season he's playing well. I can't. If he plays well, I'll own up to it. Okay. It just needs to make the playoffs, and with them being 1-3,
it's not gonna. It's gonna be.
They have to turn the season around. Cleveland 3-1, not shocked. They could. No. They should honestly be 4-0. I think they shouldn't have lost to Kansas City in Week 1, but they did. It doesn't matter. So, who knows? But we have now back-to-back New York games, which both went to overtime. We'll start with the Giants getting their first win in New Orleans in a 27-21 overtime win.
Which not what I expected at all. But here we see that, and this isn't even like Jameis Winston had a bad game.
He had a season-high 23 passing attempts.
Yeah, like this was his best game of the season, arguably. He didn't have 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. He only had 6 incompletions. He had his most passing yards in a game, I believe. Like, this was a good game. This was his best game of the season so far. Alvin Kamara, 26 carries, 120 yards. So how did the Saints lose this, and how did the Saints lose to Daniel Jones?
I have a feeling that Sean Payton is so scared of Winston throwing away the game that he is limiting his pass attempts.
And I wouldn't doubt that, especially looking at their 39 rushing attempts.
They had a great day running. 4.4 average, 170 total, 2 touchdowns. Awesome. Right? But there comes a point where you have to let your quarterback loose.
When is that going to be? Sean Payton.
It should have been already.
It should have been.
This team should not be 2-2.
Drew Brees even said it earlier in the season. I think it was the Monday night game that they had, the Sunday night game that they had. I don't remember. But Jameis Winston threw like a 50-yard bomb down the field, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. And the first thing he said was, "That's what the Saints have been missing all these years." And that's all we've seen of it. And I agree. Maybe he's just scared to let him go. And so be it. They have like a internal bend don't break kind of thing going on here. And they're just so fearful that he's gonna get overconfident, which is very possible. and it's going to come down to a late fourth quarter interception that loses them the game. But then so what? Where do you go from there? You have the mentality of we can't let him do this because this is what's going to happen, and then it happens.
What
It's
happens
just
when you
weird.
play? What happens when you play a good team, and it's fourth quarter, and you're like, "All right, Winston, we need you to throw the ball," and he goes, "My arm's not warmed up."
I haven't thrown over 25 yards in 3 games because they have to play the Bucks twice this year. They have to play the Panthers twice this year. They're going to have to play the Cowboys.
They have to play the Seahawks, the Titans, the Bills. Like
There's going to be so many situations where they're going to need some big plays.
It is so frustrating. I get it. Winston did the 30 for 30, the 30 touchdown, 30 interception season. I get it, guys. Right? I get it. You don't want to let him loose because you don't want him throwing 30 picks. I understand. But he's also one of 5 or 4, I forget the number, quarterbacks in NFL history that have thrown over 5,000 yards in a season. And if you would have told me through 4 games, Winston has 613 passing yards
On 86 attempts.
I would have called you nuts. Trying to keep it
I'm
family
willing to
friendly
bet.
with what I'm saying.
Let's see. Let's just go back to whenever he was still in Tampa Bay. His 5,000-yard season in Tampa Bay was 2019. He had 626 attempts. So what is that per game? Just do some quick math. 626 divided by 16. That is 39 attempts a game.
I don't want him throwing 39 times a game.
I don't want him throwing 20.
I want him. I think 30 is like the sweet
Right in the
spot.
middle.
Like, I don't know, man. It just feels like this team has like
But there's
a
the
much
other-
higher ceiling, and they're just like,
But there's the other side of that too. It's not like he has to do it because their run game is fine. Their run game is more than fine. They have one of the better run games in the league. But now just imagine if Jameis Winston has 4 more attempts and 40 more yards. This game may have never gone to overtime.
it just feels weird to me. Like, in their 2 losses, I have both the games up. If you would have told me that Sam Darnold threw more than Winston and Daniel Jones threw more than Winston, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. The Saints just, I feel like their ceiling is much higher than they are right now. And it to me, is literally just not giving Winston enough credit and letting him throw the ball.
Yeah. And that's not to say that this is all because Sean Payton won't let Winston loose. No. Their defense has issues too. They gave up an 11-point lead in the last 12 minutes of the game to go into overtime. Now, 11 minutes is a lot of time. I understand that. But why didn't the Saints score something? And because they had at least one possession, assuming Saints scored at 12 minutes left, Giants got the ball, they scored, Saints get the ball back at least one time. So where's the defense? Is it the defense isn't helping, or is it just they just did what they could do, and then let Saquon probably run all over them and over? Because Saquon looked good too. He didn't have too much production, but the production he did have was very good. Take that back. He had 125 yards.
It just, it hurts, man. Because this team should be,
They could be 4-0.
I think they should be 4-0. With how they played week 1, this team should not have lost a game so far.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the ball, the Giants, yeah, they get a win, but it took 400 yards from Daniel Jones. They have no run game.
He was on my bench.
The Giants need help,
Yes.
right? Like it's
The Saints need help too, which is weird to say, but I don't know. I will say this: if they continue on the same track that they're on, heavy run game, minimal passing game, they will not make playoffs.
and if they do, they'll be the 7th seed.
No,
At
they will not
best.
make playoffs. They will not make playoffs at all.
I
If
think
they
I think they
continue on
will.
their-
But again, things have to happen across the conference. Their best, if they run this 60-40 run versus pass offense, their best finish is 7th seed NFC. That's it. They will not finish higher than that.
And then that would put them up against
the 2 seed, which will most likely be Tampa Bay or Green Bay.
Yeah.
Or
So, good luck.
I can believe and say Dallas.
All three very possible. I don't know.
Or they could be Arizona.
I
Yeah,
just need
or the yeah, they need to figure it out. The Giants on the other side, the Giants
Giants look good in this game at times.
they need to figure out a way to unlock Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know he's coming off of an injured season, I get it, but they got to figure out a way to get him loose. Because if Saquon is able to start pushing out, 80 to 120 yard run weeks, Daniel Jones will feel less pressure and he will be more accurate. And
I'm not worried about Saquon.
I'm not either. I'm just worried
they will
that
get him worked in. It just needs to happen quickly.
I'm just worried that they won't.
Yeah.
Like they will choose not to for some idiotic reason.
Yeah.
And the Giants defense, yeah.
They have people on the field.
Yeah, so we'll see. But Tennessee went into the other New York team. They went into New York this time.
The most surprising game of the week.
I agree. And the Jets won 27-24.
Sorry, you said the Jets, right?
Yeah, the Jets, Jets. 127. Beat the Derrick Henry stiff arm 17 grown men children to the ground.
Derrick Henry, 33
Titans.
carries, 157 yards, and 1 touchdown.
That looks like me playing Madden as the Titans.
I swear. Like, I did not see much of this game. I didn't even know it was about to go into overtime until almost it was in overtime. Because I just wrote this game off before it ever started. The Titans are going to win 35-10. That didn't happen.
I mean,
not even they started that way.
The Titans had to score a late touchdown to tie it because they scored with 1:53 to go in the game. Or no, 16 seconds. Apologies. The drive was 1:53. They scored with 16 seconds to go in the game to tie the game. Like, they were on the verge of losing in regulation. Then they missed a field goal in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
That also doesn't help.
But they should have never been in that situation. Same thing as what I was just saying about the Saints. That never should have gone to overtime. So who's I don't want to say who's to blame here, but how did Titans end up in this situation? All this being said, bravo to the Jets.
I mean, bravo to Zach
Wilson. You did everything you had to do.
Props 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Sacked only once.
Whatever the Jets did in this game, this one right here,
build off of this.
Watch the game film all week. And just go, we're going to imitate that.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, just do it again. Because, I mean, maybe fix the run game. But
I was about to say, yeah.
Maybe fix the run game. But they won. Zach Wilson got a win. Robert Saleh got a win. The Titans
are 2-2.
I'm not going to panic on them yet.
It's out, and I'm sitting right here. It's the Destiny emote. I'm right here. Like, come on now. You should not lose to the Jets. Their other loss to the Cardinals, I'll give them that one.
It's weird because they beat the Seahawks. And they lose to the Jets, and you're like, which one's the fluke? Was it a fluke win against the Seahawks, or was it a fluke loss to the Jets?
And that's a serious question you have to ask him.
Oh, his dog's barking. I'll take over. But yeah, it's a question you have to ask. But I think the thing is we need to wait on asking that question on which one's the fluke until we figure out later in the season, right? Like if they lose to the Jags this next week, it's definitely a fluke win.
If they lose to the Jags,
then it's a fluke win against Seattle.
They are in full panic mode.
I am in panic mode.
Yeah, that should not happen. Guess the picture.
Oh, look at the puppy. For those who are watching on Twitch or YouTube, you can see a puppy.
This is Maggie.
Oh, Maggie, please be quiet. We're trying to record.
She's been so good too.
But yeah,
Anyway.
so we'll see what happens with the Titans. I think they need to go into Jacksonville and win like 40-0.
They need to do exactly what the Bills have been doing to the bad teams.
Yep.
And play their game. That's just it. Play their game. Derrick Henry should have 250 yards and 6 touchdowns against the Jags next week.
It's hard for me to disagree like with saying the whole play their game. He ran for 157. They did exactly what their game is. But the problem is
I'm trying to find what went wrong here because I'm expecting for them to lose to the Jets. I'm thinking Ryan Tannehill had a terrible game or something. But
they had 86 offensive plays. How do you have 86 offensive plays and only put up 24 points? That's
conservatively
done.
That's like 7 drives. 8 drives right there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 drives. That includes the entire game, all overtime as well. 13 drives.
You're telling me they only scored on those?
Field goal, punt, end of half. Punt, touchdown, punt, downs, touchdown, missed field goal.
Okay, so take one of those out because it was the end of the half. They scored 4 times on 11 possessions.
They need help. They need to figure it out.
You can't do that.
The Jets build on what you learned here. Titans figure it out.
Yeah.
Kansas City went into Philadelphia, and Mahomes did Mahomes things. Threw 5 touchdowns, 3 to Tyreek Hill.
This was another game that wasn't too impressive. The Eagles did their thing, Chiefs did their thing, and this is what we expected. Maybe not this high scoring, but this is what we expected.
Yeah. Philadelphia needs a run game.
Even though the Eagles lost, this is a confidence booster for them.
It should be a confidence booster. We'll put it that way.
They put up 30 points on the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts almost had 400 yards.
He didn't throw a pick.
He was also the leading rusher.
Which is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles didn't look horrible. Didn't look great. Defensively, you gave up 42 points. Like, I know you're playing Mahomes and the Chiefs, but
I get that. But
he shouldn't be throwing a touchdown on 1 out of every 6 passes.
Exactly.
Or let's even take it even worse. 1 out of 4.8 completions.
Every 5 times he has the ball, he's throwing a touchdown, basically. Every 5 times he completes a pass, he's throwing a touchdown.
Yeah. No matter who you're playing, you can't let that happen. Even if you're playing Trevor Lawrence. You can't let him do that because he will beat you regardless. Right?
Yeah.
So the Eagles need defensive help and running help. Jalen Hurts he's having games where he's showing glimpses of like understanding how to make it, and then he has games where he just doesn't. It's his first time being the starter throughout the season, so it's expected.
Well, he's got a rough stretch of games coming up to try to prove himself. So Panthers, Bucks, Raiders.
Yeah.
So it's time to shit or get off the pot, as my mother would say.
We'll see what they do. The Chiefs, I mean, this was exactly what they needed to do after losing to the Chargers in week 3. You know, that's the Chiefs things. I don't know how else to put it. Arizona went into Los Angeles and basically said, "We're winning the division. Rams, you can please move over."
Yeah.
This was Kyler Murray had been complaining about interceptions, fumbles, taking sacks, bad penalties.
What have you?
This was the first game since week 1 where the Cardinals again looked like the real deal.
Yes.
Which
They're the last team standing as far as being undefeated,
In-
and they are acting like it.
in week 1, when they beat the Titans 38-13, we sit there and we were like, well, the Titans I thought were the real deal, but the Cardinals are. Then they had a close game against Minnesota, sort of a close game against Jacksonville. And then I'm going to say demolish. It's a 17-point victory over the Rams. They seem to understand how to get it done against the good teams. They just have to clean it up against the lower teams.
Yeah. They need to play Cardinal level, not whoever they're playing against level. And they did that this week. Or unless this was a fluke, I don't think it is. They dominated.
249 through the air, 216 on the ground. No turnovers.
They beat a very good Rams team.
They had 7 penalties, 63 yards, which they had more penalties than the Rams did, but they held the ball for 35 minutes. There's not much the Cardinals look great. It's hard to really say anything else. They look great. I mean, yeah, their record shows that they're 4-0. I get it, guys. Okay? They're the only undefeated team. I get it. But I wouldn't say that they shouldn't be 4-0 because how they're playing, Then you have the Rams who, unfortunately, should, with quotes, be undefeated, but they had to play the Cardinals.
I mean, this is one of the first games of the season. I think it might be the first game of the season where this is two teams pretty much already in playoff form that we get to see.
As much as I want to say last week was with the Rams versus the Bucks, it's hard. It's hard because the Bucks have been dealing with secondary issues. That's why they went and got Richard Sherman. So this, like you said, I agree. This is the first game where it's like, oh, these are two playoff teams, 100%.
And it looked like it. I mean, if and when they meet again, because I could very well see this being a conference championship game right here. If not, at least
they're going to meet again during the season, anyways.
Okay, yeah, there you go too. I don't expect the same result at the second time they meet.
I wouldn't be shocked because they play in Arizona in the next matchup.
I would be surprised if the Rams lose by more than 2 possessions.
Okay, that's fair.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
That I will agree with you on that one.
I don't doubt that the Cardinals will win again, but I don't think it would be this wide of a margin.
Do you think the Cardinals can finish out the season undefeated?
Their schedule real quick.
Tough games. Browns, Packers, Panthers, Seahawks, Rams, Cowboys, Seahawks.
No. They're going to drop at least 2 of those at some point.
Yeah, to the Cowboys, right? Please.
That can be one of them, sure. Two. Pick 2 of all the games you just said. And
Cowboys, and they actually lose to the Cowboys, and we give them 2 losses.
Does that mean you get 2 wins?
Yeah. You know what? We'll take 1 win. We'll just give them 2 losses.
I'll say this: it wouldn't surprise me if they lose to the Cowboys and the Seahawks both at the end of the season because they've already clinched.
That hurts, but yeah, you're right.
I'll say that.
But to the other 2 teams in the division, Seattle went into San Francisco and pulled it out 28-21.
49ers, man.
Garoppolo got injured.
Close. Yes.
Trey Lance went in through 9 for 18, 2 touchdowns, 157. Both these teams being 2-2 though, just it feels right with how the season's gone so far.
Right. Which is weird because they're both. I'm high on both of them, even still. 2-2 feels like they should be doing better, but it's also, yeah, that's about what I would expect. I don't know, man. Just because it's like Seattle is this close to being 4-0 if they could just get everything to start clicking at the same time. So is San Francisco. San Francisco a little bit less so because they're having quarterback issues among other things. One thing that's not an issue for them is Debo Samuel, and even Trey Sermon's coming in and filling that role very
Finally,
well.
finally
Yeah,
took him 4
finally.
weeks to understand how to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So
We'll
now if
see if
we get
Garoppolo
Atlanta,
plays. He has a bruised calf, so he may not play this week.
bruised calf. That sounds. I know that's it. It's if it's serious enough for them to can be considering taking him out, it's a serious injury.
Yeah, it's
But it's
just
like a bruised calf. What do you mean?
it's just interesting to me. Like you get a bruise and like yeah, if you like apply pressure to it, you're like, oh, that's
Oofy.
yeah, ow. But it just feels weird to be like, oh, I can't play. Might as
Walks out
well
on
lay
the field
down.
on a walks out on the field in a boot.
Yeah, I mean obviously
It's more serious than
it's a
that.
deeper bruise and not just like surface level. So it is like I do agree with you when they're like got a bruise on his leg, and I'm like, had a bruise on my leg before. Am I an NFL player? Is that how it works? So
Am I tougher than an NFL player?
no, I'm not. I will nope,
No,
no,
not it.
nope,
No chance.
nope.
I
I will go cry in the corner right now. I'll go I'll go do it. So yeah, I think 2-2.
Cried for 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think 2-2 fits both these teams. They both have good things going on. Both have bad things going on.
Not panicking. Not even close to
No.
panic on either of them.
This whole division could still make the
steamboat.
playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And would not surprise me.
This next game did not go as planned to me. Baltimore went into Denver and won 23-7. Bridgewater did leave the game with a concussion, which I think plays a big factor.
Yeah, because
into
Drew
way
Lock
this-
is not ready.
No, he
Still.
went in and threw a pick
Yeah.
in true Drew Lock fashion. He threw the
Um,
pick at the end of the game, not like he just went in and did it, but
But no, I mean, he didn't do much else.
no.
Got sacked 3 times. Had a 6.6 ER.
This it's literally we talked about it for the
Bridgewater or
season.
bust.
They just need this team is a quarterback away from being good. And Bridgewater showed up the first 3 weeks, and I stepped aside and said I apologize for doubting you. Then he gets injured, and Drew Lock goes in and basically does nothing, and I go, well, I guess this
It's
is
Bridgewater's team.
yeah, yeah. So
I mean, what's his? Do we have an update on him? I know it's early in the week still. Remains in concussion protocol as of yesterday.
yeah,
So, they will not win games with Lock.
no, they will not.
I unfortunately, and fortunately, they had 3 really easy games starting out the season. They got their 3 wins, so that's a little bit of buffer until Bridgewater gets back. But I don't think Drew Lock beats the Steelers. I don't think he beats the Raiders. I don't think he beats the Browns.
He can beat the Steelers because there's a chance that since Fred Flintstone can't run very fast at all, that the Broncos defense shows up and basically forces just any sort of turnovers and basically is like, Drew Lock, you have 14 yards to go to the end zone. Just
Please God.
just pass the ball
Hand it off.
to him.
No, don't hand it off. Pass it off. Don't pass it. Hand it off.
That might be too complicated for him. So
For him to read a defense isn't.
I didn't say the passes were deep. I was just saying they're checkdowns.
Fair enough. Screens.
Screen. What's the screen? Screen. So
This is another division that, as of right now, all teams can make playoffs.
100%.
With the team that's farthest away being the Chiefs.
Which makes no sense.
No.
But that'll change this week because the Broncos, unfortunately, if Bridgewater does not play, will lose. Probably.
Unless like you say, the defense put enough pressure on Roethlisberger.
This is the first game, too, for the Ravens that Lamar Jackson was not their leading rusher, nor did he have 25% of their carries. He was right under it because 25% is 7.5. So I'm gonna give credit where it's due.
It's trending in the right direction.
And the touchdown that Lamar Jackson threw, by the way,
Beautiful.
almost overthrew one of the fast wide receivers in the game, which makes no sense. So
Is that play of the week?
he,
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
no, play of the week is Randy Bullock, kicker for the Titans, missing the the game tying field goal.
Yeah, it was a good moment for the Jets.
So the Ravens look good.
Hollywood looked great.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is basically shutting everyone up who doubted him as a passer. They just need to keep doing what they did this week and not letting him run 6,000 times.
And I feel like he's a passer conversation, or him finally showing it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It was bound to happen at some point.
It was. It just needed to happen.
Yeah.
That's all we were waiting on.
He did it against, at the time, a 3-0 Broncos team.
Yeah.
And this loss is on them being without Bridgewater.
I agree.
Unfortunately.
I think probably Baltimore still wins it, but it's probably something like 23-20.
Yeah, or maybe a third overtime game.
Yeah.
On the week.
Would have been crazy.
Yeah, but
and I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Ravens
look good. Broncos look really bad right now with Drew Lock at the helm.
Unfortunately. Which I feel bad because they were 3-0. They were looking great. And then
I picked them to win this week.
Same. Did not go well.
Nope.
Pittsburgh went into Green Bay. Yeah.
It was closer than I thought.
I agree. But let's be honest, they scored with 4 minutes to go in the game to make it 27-17, so I don't really want to.
It's garbage time.
Yeah.
I love looking at the win probability. It's like, Pittsburgh has a chance. Never mind.
Yeah. They had that chance when they scored. That's when it became like, oh, they have a better chance of winning it. And it was like kind of there, and then all of a sudden it just
it's just the 10 minutes to go in the first to the end of the first, and that's it.
Aaron Rodgers looks good. For some reason, A.J. Dillon looks sometimes better than Aaron Jones. And then there's games where Aaron Jones looks like a top 5 running back in the league. So they're fortunate.
As long as one of the two of them is on, they're fine.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the Packers at all. Like, not even close after what happened week 1. I was like,
no.
I was worried for kind of. I was like, it's kind of a really bad loss, 38-3. You had to pull Aaron Rodgers. And then, they've shut me up.
Yeah.
So
they've done good since then, for sure.
And the Steelers just kind of look meh after the week 1 fluke of making the Bills look horrible. So
that unfortunately that might be the highlight of their season.
Yeah.
Especially if I don't think they'll finish up. Well, will they finish up 1-16?
No.
No, because they have a good chance of beating the Broncos. They got the Lions. 5 wins.
The thing is, it's like I see, just because of the veteran aspect that Roethlisberger and Tomlin bring, they will win a few more games this season.
Because just solely off of experience.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll see what happens. The Steelers, not high on anymore. The Packers, they're going to win the division.
Yeah.
They have the Lions, the unfortunate 1-3 Vikings, and the somehow 2-2 Bears.
The struggling 2-2 Bears.
So all right, Packers. We'll see you in Lambeau in January.
Yep.
There's not much else to it.
The
Sunday night game, which was the most hyped game. Tom Brady's,
it was a great game.
First trip back to New England.
I'm not gonna lie. I expected Tom Brady to come in and just steamroll the Patriots.
I agree.
Just 35 completions, 7 touchdowns, 428 yards. I expected him to go off. He didn't do that. Not even close. They still got the win.
There was something that was said I was watching ESPN's It's the pregame show before the noon games start. I forget what it's called. Um,
Countdown.
Countdown. Thank you. Watching that, and Randy Moss said when he left New England and ended up playing against them in New England, he said Bill Belichick will do whatever he can to make your life a living hell when you go back to play against them. He was
did
like,
a good job at it.
it was like Randy was like, I got double teamed, triple teamed. He's like, I maybe got 4 catches. So Bill Belichick, we obviously know he's won Super Bowls. He knows how to make people uncomfortable.
He made Tom Brady uncomfortable.
It
Yeah, at least that's what the stats show, and he didn't do anything great in the game. They got the win, but that is, you could either say that's because of the missed field goal at the end of the game, or their 8 carries for what,
negative 1
1
yard.
yard? Yeah. Patriots have 0 rushing game. Quite literally 0 rushing game in this game, at least.
Yeah.
And they still lost due to a missed field goal.
Mac Jones didn't look horrible.
Mac Jones looked good. He looked good.
This was just a Sunday night rainy brawl.
Game.
And Mac Jones, while he played well, if there was a more veteran quarterback here, there is a better chance that Tampa Bay loses.
Yes. If they would have kept Cam Newton, I believe they win this game.
Yeah, probably because they would have a run game.
Fair. Yeah. Well,
they would have at least 0 or more yards.
They had 50 offensive plays, and 42 of them were passing.
2 of them were trick passes.
2 of them were trick passes. 84% of their plays were passing. That's heavily skewed. And I don't want to say the wrong direction because it is a pass heavy league. You should never have more than 80% of your offense be one or the other, unless you just don't have a quarterback. I don't know, man. It's
the Patriots being 1-3 makes sense to me. The Bucs being 3-1 makes sense to me.
Yes to both of those.
There's nothing else to it. Tom Brady's going to make the playoffs. I still think there's a high chance they make the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I would say not as high as a chance as I had before the season, based on how I'm biased and say the Cowboys, but like the Packers are starting to get together. The Cardinals and the Rams look great. The Panthers look better than I expected.
There's a lot more competition in the NFC than we expected.
100%.
Than I expected. I'm not going to talk for you, but
no, well,
definitely
100%. 100%
okay.
with you. So it's an expected outcome that Tampa Bay won that scoreline, 19-17, with a chance that New England does win it, 20-19. It definitely would not have predicted that.
No, but it was a very fun game to watch.
I agree. A fun game to watch for a little bit, which was the Monday night game. The LA Chargers brought in the LV Raiders, and Justin Herbert looks great.
Austin Eckler looks better.
He is insane. I was nervous because
I was so nervous for him after the first couple weeks.
I was nervous before the season because Eckler is known to be like a pass catching back, right? Like that's why when they had Melvin Gordon was the runner and Eckler was, the pass catcher. So I was nervous that I was like, is he gonna be able to continue this? Like, I'm the number one guy. I'm sorry for doubting. I didn't mean to. Okay.
His 40 points that he got me to win my money league this week says yes. I just needed him for just sidebar here. I needed him to do 5 points better than Justin Herbert because I was against Justin Herbert and had a 5-point lead going into Monday night. That's all I needed. And I think Herbert ended up with like 23 points. And Eckler had 40.3 or something like that.
It's ridiculous.
So Eckler is in a very good spot right now and is excelling, I guess, is the best word I can say. He's still that pass-catching running back that he was because you don't expect your running back to have more than a couple catches in a game. 3 for 28 and a touchdown. I'll take that for my running back through the air. and then you go on the ground, 15 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown.
He just looks good.
He looks very good.
Sorry for doubting you.
Chargers are in such a good place right now.
Both these teams, like I said about the last game, both these teams, their current record makes sense.
Yeah.
The Raiders, before the season, I did not expect them to be 3-1, but how they've been playing makes sense, right?
Yeah. And I expect
they should have lost at least one of their games this season, and here it is.
This is a damn good one to lose it to. This is one of those games where you feel like you could have done so much more, but at the end of the day, you lost to a good team.
Yeah.
They didn't look great.
Sometimes good teams need, this is going to sound like some like motivational thing. Sometimes good teams need to lose games to become great.
I don't know why. All I can think of whenever you say that is Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. Have you seen Friday Night Lights?
Anyways.
Oh, no.
For anyone who's listening, I don't watch like any movies, any shows, nothing. So be shocked with everyone else that I haven't seen this.
Yeah, that's your next one to watch.
But like, the Raiders, they've been close on winning games, and sometimes it's hard to look at negatives when you keep winning. So for them to lose this game, I think
now we can dissect it.
Exactly. I think it's a huge benefit.
Yeah,
the Chargers losing in week 2 to Dallas ended up being the Chiefs and then the Raiders. They figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's the Raiders' turn.
Yeah.
So
this was the reality check the Raiders needed.
The reality check Gruden needed.
Yeah, and it's so like these are two great teams, and I don't know. I can't decide if this is expected, considering both their defenses are firing on all cylinders, and both their offenses to this point have been firing on all cylinders. They had in the first quarter 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, turnover on downs, 3 and out, 3 and out, back to back to back to back to back to back to back drives. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight drives that were 6 of those were 3 and outs. The other 2 were turnover on downs.
The Chargers turnover on downs, let's look at it, was a fake punt pass.
Mm-hmm. That
and
Hunter Renfrow lit him up. I don't know who the receiver was for the Chiefs or for the Chargers. Dude was not holding on to that. Derrick Henry wasn't holding on to that with the hit that Hunter Renfrow laid out on him.
Yeah.
Props to him for trying.
Oh man, what a good week of football. It was
It was way better than I was expecting coming into it.
This is why we love football, because we go into weeks. This isn't the first week this season either where we were like, well, hopefully it's a good week, and then we get on here and we're like, dude, did you watch football this week?
Wow. Just wow.
So hopefully it goes into week 5, but we will.
Yeah.
We will run through this rapidly.
Yeah.
Week 5.
Thursday night, great game starting out the week.
Yeah, LA goes into Seattle.
Seahawks.
I'm going Rams.
Great game to start. I'm going Rams by 4.
I'm gonna go Rams by 10. I think they have a bounce back after losing to the Cardinals, and basically don't want to make the same
chip
mistake.
On their shoulder.
Yeah. The Jets go into Atlanta. This is the London game.
This is the London. I'm sorry, London. If we have anybody, if somehow this makes it to any London NFL fans, hi, thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry that this is the game you got this year. One of the 2 games. I think the other one is Jacksonville and somebody. I'm sorry.
Who do I
wins
pick?
This? I don't know.
My gut is telling me the Jets. I don't know why.
See, I want to go Falcons, and I don't know if that's bias, hopefulness,
or a combination of the 2.
Yeah. I don't know. What's the spread? Do they have spread on this one yet? Falcons by 3. Coin flip next.
Green Bay into Cincinnati. I think Green Bay wins it, but closer than some would think.
Yeah, Green Bay by a possession.
Detroit goes into Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, gets back on track this week.
Minnesota by 40.
They're a 7.5-point favorite.
Covered.
So, Denver goes into Pittsburgh.
We touched on this a little bit earlier.
Pittsburgh is a 1-point favorite. If Bridgewater plays, this is going to be a two-sided die. If Bridgewater plays, the Broncos win. If that's not the word, just the saying I was trying to say, I said it and I was kind of just going to roll with it. So I'm mad that you pointed it out. I was hoping you would have just like let it happen.
That's a coin.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm rolling a die. And there's only two sides. Sometimes people call it a coin. If Bridgewater plays, Denver wins. If Locke plays, Pittsburgh wins.
Either way, no, you're right.
You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say.
If Bridgewater plays, they win by 10. Bridgewater doesn't play, Pittsburgh wins by 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Miami goes into Tampa Bay. That's a Florida showdown.
Still a Tua-less Miami.
Yeah. So Tampa Bay wins
by 40.
39.
You're a little high on the Dolphins.
Just a little bit. New Orleans goes into Washington. This game could go either way.
Yeah, this is my favorite game of the early slate. Easily.
I am picking Washington because I think we're going to see another week that Winston is not unleashed and he's going to throw. I'm going to go on the high end. He's going to throw 25 times this game.
Under over 200 yards.
Over 216.
Okay.
He's going to throw 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
This is actually a really close game. It's 1.5 Saints. I'm going to go Washington too. Heineke, Hines.
Catch up, yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, he's performing very well.
Yeah. I think people need to give him more credit.
As much as I love Fitzpatrick, I mean, it's just it's his team right now, and he's gonna prove it again. Washington by like 3. I think it's a close game.
I would say more than 3. Not more than 3. I mean, no more than 3. Sorry.
Okay. So I say it's gonna be a close game either way, but I think Washington wins it. Yeah.
Philadelphia goes into Carolina. And I'm sorry, Eagles fans. I know we have a couple that watch us on Twitch. I think Carolina gets back on track and ends up 4-1 after this week.
Yeah.
So, Tennessee.
Carolina by 7.
Tennessee goes into Jacksonville.
40-0 Tennessee.
I'm calling Tennessee.
God.
But if they don't win this game by at least 10,
it is full panic.
I am worried.
Yes.
So
Tennessee should win this game, and I'm glad I already picked Tennessee in my survivor.
New England goes into Houston. I'm going to give it to New England because Houston's
a train wreck.
I don't even want to say horrible because that's too much credit.
They're bad. Patriots
without Tyrod Taylor, they just don't exist.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately. So yeah, New England by 14.
Yeah.
Chicago goes into Las Vegas.
It's another game I feel like could go either way. I feel like I give it to the Raiders. This is their bounce back game.
I think Raiders by 10.
Yeah. But if Vegas shows any resemblance to last night's game, Justin Fields might have a chance to shine.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Might.
Hopefully he understands how to throw the ball to the end zone, right?
If he finds the end zone, this could be a real interesting game.
He just needs one.
I give it to the Raiders.
He just needs one to then give him the confidence. You know what I mean?
One to.
Cleveland goes into LA and plays the Chargers.
Probably. Oh no, I was gonna say this is game of the week. It still could be game of the week.
Game of the week is Sunday night. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Chargers by 2.
I was gonna say Browns by 1.
There we go. That game, everyone needs to watch that game.
Yeah,
Unless
that's
your
the
favorite
early
team
game.
is playing during the afternoon. Like the Giants go into Dallas, and
It should be Dallas by 14.
I agree. San Francisco goes into Arizona. I think Arizona wins division game. I'll say by 7.
I was going to go 10 for Carolina or Cardinals.
There we go. I always make
Yep.
that same mistake too. I
Arizona Carolina.
almost call them the Carolina Cardinals like so often, and I'm like, that's not a team. Game of the week,
No.
to me at least, is Buffalo goes into Kansas City, into Arrowhead.
Buffalo will not win 40-0.
39-0. No, just kidding.
Oh,
I think
that'd be a
Buffalo.
statement.
I think Buffalo wins it.
With the way Kansas City's been playing, I want to agree with you, but I think this is the game that the Chiefs finally, I want to say finally figured out. Not like they haven't been doing good this season. But this is the kind of game that Patrick Mahomes would come out and throw 300 yards for 500 or 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. Edwards-Helaire runs for 75 yards and a touchdown. Like, this is the kind of game the Chiefs always seem to elevate in these tougher games. So I'm giving this one to the Chiefs.
I think Buffalo wins it 41-38.
I'm going Chiefs 38-31.
Fair. And then Monday night, the last game of the week, the Colts and Wentz hopefully can make it into Baltimore because Wentz is always injured. But
They should move this game off of primetime.
I would agree. They
Ravens by
should move.
17.
They should move the Cleveland LA game to Sunday night and then move Buffalo
Yes.
Kansas City to Monday night.
It's too early in the season to flex, unfortunately, but they should do it anyway.
I think Baltimore wins it by
17.
I'm gonna say 10. I'm trying to factor in garbage time touchdowns.
Mm.
So they should win by 17.
Spread better's worst nightmare.
But yeah, you're like, oh, they're about to cover, and you're like, why is that team driving? Would you quit it? I'm trying to win my bet here.
There's only 3 minutes left. What are you doing?
But yeah, I think Baltimore by 10. So there's some good games this week. There are
a lot of good games
not
this week.
so good games this week.
I'm gonna be watching.
Sorry, London.
I was gonna say I'm watching that game because it's the Falcons and I can.
Yeah, we'll
But
see. It's also a prime time with quotes game because
it is a primetime game. It's 8:30 Central. We always go off Central time, so it's 8:30 Central. So if you're awake in time to watch that one, by all means, I guess it's football. Watch it. Unless your college team lost in a heartbreak, then you're probably still going to be hungover.
Or if they won in a great game, you're probably still going to be hungover.
Also be hungover.
You know your
Or
college
if
student. You might just be hungover. Sorry.
Hi, I'm a State fan.
I don't care about college football. So we'll see. It's going to be a good week of football.
This will be going into this week. This might be the first week where outside of week 1, because we were very hyped for week 1. This might be the first week where I feel like every game has the potential to be very good, outside of like one of them, 2 of them.
Okay. I thought you were going to keep
Every
counting.
game. No, just 2 of them.
Okay.
This game has the potential to be. This week has the potential to be very good across the board.
I agree. So we'll see what happens, but that is week 4 review, week 5 preview. Eddie, you have a fun fact for me?
Of course I do.
Okay. What's my fun fact? Or what's my number?
So it's not a number.
Oh, I get a hint right away?
Get a hint. You get a hint straight away.
Okay.
Your fun fact today has to deal with brothers in the NFL.
Okay, so we have the Watt brothers, we have the Gronkowski brothers, we have the Kelsey brothers.
You're going to have to think back a little bit for this one. It's an active, I'll give you this too. It's a current player and a player who I believe is retired now, but they both played quarterback.
Oh, wait, not the Mannings?
Not the
Manning
Mannings.
brothers? Wait.
It's an active, and I'm double checking right now because I don't think he's still active.
The Hasselbeck brothers is a different one?
Nope. Okay, yes, it is a current and a retired. I will give you the teams for both of them too, if you would like.
Is the guy? I'm not gonna look at rosters. I'm gonna try and guess
Mhm.
this. Is the guy who is an active player? Is he a starting quarterback?
Yes.
Oh, Derek and David Carr.
Yep.
I'm so good at this. I named so many different brothers.
There's been a lot. There has been a. I don't know how many brothers have all played the same position.
Yeah.
I know the Mannings obviously both did. The Carr brothers both did. The Watts are on defense.
The Kelsey brothers are
Pretty-
both on offense.
Yeah,
One's a lineman, one's a tight end.
but
Hmm.
brothers Derek Carr and David Carr have the unfortunate honor to have the most losses through the first 7 years of their career. They own. I don't know if they're at 1-2 or if it's just because they're brothers and they're both were terrible starting out. But Derek Carr lost 63. David Carr lost 56.
There's a reason why David Carr is not in the NFL anymore,
Exactly.
and he's an NFL analyst. There's a reason. No offense to
Derek-
him, he knows his football, but
Eh,
sometimes you just gotta look at it how it is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You just gotta. You know.
But yeah. Most
So,
losses in the first.
not shocked.
Not shocked, but at the same time, like, wow.
You guys should get it
Granted,
together.
unfortunately, I will. In David Carr's defense, he was Houston's starting quarterback whenever they became a franchise. So,
Hmm.
there's that.
Yeah. It was a rough go around when they joined the league.
Houston's
They were bad.
Houston's first season was 4-12, and he was with Houston for the first 5 years of his career.
They were horrible.
Yeah, so
And then it was like 2008, I think, when Andre Johnson fought Cortland Finnegan. What a football players are a different breed. They will punch someone in the head while they're still wearing their helmet.
I will never understand that. My favorite thing is to see two. No, not favorite. That's most interesting thing on the field is fights happen all the time. But how are you going to get into a fight with a 6'4", 225-pound stacked dude, and the first thing you're going to do is take off your helmet?
Yeah, that's the worst idea. I'd keep my helmet on. So like if you hit me,
It's
I'm
going
not
to
gonna
hurt
get
both of
CTE.
us.
I ain't gonna get CTE. That's what this helmet's for. You're gonna get CTE in your hand.
Yeah,
That's not how that
we'll go with
works.
that.
But you
We'll
know.
go with that.
But see, like when I worked at a sports store and like we would have helmets that people would return because they're like, oh, it's too small or whatever. Like, you know, just curious, I'd be like, knock, knock, knock. I'd be like, it's pretty
That
sturdy.
That's a good helmet.
Yeah. And then like I see an NFL player just swing and I'm like, do you not break
Dude.
your hand?
You know they got some force behind that.
Yeah. It's just like a Chad punching a wall.
I would rather punch a wall than a helmet.
I would rather punch neither.
Well, yeah. But if you had to pick,
I'd choose the wall. You're right.
okay.
You're right. If you punch in the right spot where there's no studs, you can just go right through it.
Yeah.
You just gotta
Hope it's drywall, not sheetrock.
True. But on that note, friends, that will do it for episode 46 of our podcast. I was going to say of our episode. That doesn't
It's
make
the
any
end
sense.
of the episode.
The end of the episode of our episode. You know what I mean? But yeah, you can find us on Twitch. We broadcast all of our episodes, twitch.tv/memes dreams 32 teams, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern on every Tuesday. You can find us on Twitter at memes 32 teams, and you can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search memes dreams 32 teams. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Those in the Twitch chat, we appreciate you guys watching live. Any final words, Eddie?
Sorry we haven't been too active on Twitter. We're working on it. Chat, hello. Shout out to chat.
We love chat.
We love chat. Don't forget to do your stretches. Drink water.
Big stretch. Drink water.
Big stretch.
Big stretch.
All right, guys.
Alrighty, friends.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week for episode 47. We love you guys, and peace.
Bye-bye.